On today's show, the guys are talking about things to think about before you head to a conference. We've got that and more up next on EduTechGuys. You're listening to the EduTechGuys, EduTechGuys.com. Hello and welcome to the show. I'm David Henderson.
Hey, I'm Jeff Madlock.
Yeah, thank you so much. Tuning in, turning on, downloading, grabbing the episode
Sorry. Hey, listen, don't forget to check us out on the web, www.edutechguys.com. You can also find us. Just go out to Google, type in EduTechGuys, EduTechGuys, and you're going to find us there smiling back at you.
Our big smiling emoji-like faces.
Big smiling cherub.
Cherub-like.
Middle-aged,
That's right.
fluffy faces.
Fluffy.
Looking right back at you.
That's right.
Yes. Hey, it's going to be a great show today. It's just us. So you're stuck with us for the next hour and 72 minutes. No, that's 2 hours and 12 minutes. But either way, you want to look at it. We don't do math.
We don't do math. None of the math.
The maths.
That's right.
We don't do maths. So, as they say, across the pond.
That's right. Or like we'll do we won't do, but we could do the Louis C.K. routine, his little bit on being a math teacher.
Boy, we're just hitting all the controversial names
today, aren't we? We're throwing them out there, boys and girls.
Might as well.
It's 2022. It's time for a new year.
Up next, an R. Kelly song. Here we go. No. It's like we're just hitting off. But
who else can we take off?
Hey, listen, actually, we just got back from ISTE a few weeks ago in New Orleans. Had a great time. Interviewed some wonderful people. Had a really great chance to catch up with some faces we haven't seen in person in a while. Mm-hmm. That was really nice. And we learned a lot of things, especially some of the same problems that were happening at the last ISTE before the pandemic are still some of the same problems in education that we have today. Yeah. So one of those things was we just noticed over time. We always talk about why do kids want to do this and stuff like that. But here's a great one for you. Why do you go to a conference?
Yeah.
Because we noticed that a lot of people, ISTE and FETC and TCEA and all the big ones, probably BET, BET, and all those over BET, BET, over and just all the big ones. We noticed that a lot of administrators and teachers go without a plan or an agenda.
Yeah, they just kind of, it's really weird to me. They just kind of go hoping to learn something, I guess. I don't know. Hoping
I think it's like Disney World. I'm just going to ride all the rides.
Yeah. Very, very akin to that. Yeah,
and I feel like that's what puts us in the predicament that we wind up in when we get back to our respective schools. Is teachers come from these big conferences and they have this grab bag full of goodies and they just start, throwing out stuff.
Yeah, and not to say that when you go to a conference that you have to, necessarily have to have everything that you think you're possibly going to learn planned down to the minute. No, I mean you still want to leave yourself open, but building off of the amusement park thing that we got going here, even when you go to the amusement park, you still got certain things you want to do. There's certain rides you want to ride. There's certain foods that you want to eat. Right? There's certain things you want to experience. That should be the exact same when you're going to a conference. You got to have at least some kind of a plan or at least some of the highlights that you want to make sure that you come away with.
Yeah, and I think that's what doesn't happen. And when it doesn't happen across the board, especially with administrators, when they go every year to these larger conferences, administrative conferences, ISTE, big ones, and they see the next silver bullet and they get that in their craw and they come back with it. You can't go to a place without an agenda. And I think that's what happens. I noticed a lot after ISTE this year. There's so many educators throwing out all this new stuff they're going to try when had you gone to look for something specific to fit a need, fill a problem, fill a hole that you already have, I think you get more out of it. Now, I'm not saying with you, you should go to, if your agenda is to go to the vendor floor and get as much tchotchke as you can and fill up bags with it, rock on. I mean, that's an agenda. But I think when they go and they just start looking at stuff and looking without really going into, I'm going to go in and find a better way to present on Chromebooks to my kids. I'm going to go and find a better way to teach teach math as, have a backup application or a website or service app that's going to, enhance mathematics or reading. I think if you go in that way, you're better off. And I just notice a lot of educators don't do that. They just go in willy-nilly and then they come away with just overwhelming amounts of information.
Well, and to the point that there's so much information, and yeah, sometimes depending on what kind of person you are, when you grab all this information, if you're somebody who kind of filters through it and picks out a nugget here or there from each of those things and focus on those, then you're kind of making an agenda kind of after the fact. But a lot of times it's just there's so much and it's information overload, and you end up not knowing what to do with it. So ultimately, at the end of the day, you end up doing nothing with it.
Yeah. So I tell you what, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to help you out. We're going to give you a nice list of 5 things you can do when you go to a conference workshop to kind of help you get that agenda prepared before you get there, and try to stick to it when you're there. So we'll be right back after this. Are you using Soundtrap for personal use, recording podcasts, making music, and more? More importantly, are you using Soundtrap in the classroom? Soundtrap for the classroom is amazing, allowing students the ability to create music, podcasts, audio for their projects, and so much more. Check out Soundtrap now at soundtrap.com. Hey, welcome back to the EduTechGuys. We're really excited to share with you our top 5 things you should do before you head to the conferences. Whether it's state, regional, local, national, you name it, we have some ideas for you. And now we'd like to tell you these are just our suggestions for how we like to handle when we go to conferences. And starting off the list at number 1 is the pre-plan. Always pre-plan before you go. Now, we're talking about starting in August, even the summer. If you've already gone to some conferences and you're starting over, start making that list of what you're looking for, what you're looking to get out of, because you might find that you don't need to spend thousands of dollars to travel to, say, Philadelphia for the next ISTE. You can maybe go right down the street to a regional or a state conference and get exactly what you need. Or you might find one that's just as big as ISTE, TCEA, FETC, California's big tech ed conference. Heck, go to London, go to BET, the British Educational Technology Conference. You might find it there. So the pre-plan's a really big deal of kind of getting all your stuff together and finding out what you're looking to do, maybe up to December, then you can go ahead and schedule for your conference.
Yeah, absolutely. And then once you've got that scheduled in there, one of the things that you want to do is formulate your itinerary. And essentially what we're talking about is, so with the pre-planning, you're getting the general idea of what you want, right? Well, the itinerary part of that is, finding, you found a conference, it's got the stuff, so let's get nuts, soup to nuts. What are we doing? So I would say try to schedule out your days as best you can. Now, your days are going to get filled up with all kinds of things. You might want to visit with your friends, or you may get invited to one of the vendor, after party things or whatever, right? But during the day, or really as much time as you feel like you need to plan, you want to plan your sessions out, but also you want to make sure you do things like when during the conference are you going to hit the vendor floor and get the tchotchkes, visit with the vendors, talk about the things that you're wanting to know more about. You need to schedule that in, because I can tell you, if you don't make it part of your itinerary, it will pass you by before you realize it, and then it's time to go home and you're like, oh, I totally forgot to do X, Y, or Z.
Yeah, and the key to that is number 3, stick to the plan. Now, it's hard to stick to the plan. Trust me, I shop Walmart, and I go in for bananas and milk, and I come out with $385 worth of stuff I didn't need. So,
well, bananas and milk.
Bananas and milk. And ice cream to go with the bananas, and chocolate to go in the ice cream, and bread for the sandwiches I'm going to eat before the ice cream. Anyway, so you get the drift. And the bug zapper that I didn't need but was on sale in the middle of the aisle. The Promethean board and the flip grid. And Yeah,
really, right?
But no, seriously, that's the big one, is sticking to the plan. Now, no one can stick perfectly to the plan because something's going to surprise you that you didn't plan on, that's not in the agenda, that's not in the schedule or the list of sessions. But sticking to your plan is going to be a big deal because you're going to thank yourself afterwards for making sure you hit your stuff. And if you stick to the plan, then that gives you the opportunity to say have 3 freebies that inside your plan you can go, I've got 3 freebies to use that I'm going to make a decision not to go to this session, but I'm going to split up between 2 sessions, or I'm going to instead go to this other session. But give yourselves kind of, a get out of jail free card a couple of times, the Uno card that gets you everything you need so that you can, stick to the plan, get done what you have there. The idea is to go to the conference and have an agenda so that you are accomplishing what you set out to do. You're going to have to bring this back to your district. That's one thing that your educational entity is going to ask is, what is this going to do for you? But what's it going to do for us?
Right.
So you got to think about that all the way back to step 1, which is the pre-plan, and especially step 2, your itinerary. You need to schedule in some stuff for your district, for your educational cooperative, your service agency, whatever you're representing. You need to put that in there.
Well,
Go ahead. No, that's right.
I was just going to say, along those lines, when you're sticking to your plan, and you already know ahead of time that you've got to bring stuff back. You're going to be bringing stuff back to the district, whether it's ideas, concepts, things you've learned, whether it's actual things in your hand that you're bringing back. One of the suggestions we have, and this is number 4, is review each evening. So each evening, just take some time. You don't have to put a whole lot of time into this, but just spend a little bit of time kind of debriefing about the day. What are some of the big aha takeaways that you remember most about that day at the conference, that day at in the vendor booth, that day in the at the after party? You got to talking to somebody, and holy cow, little did you know, they actually have addressed a problem you are currently working on just by this chance meeting of being at this place. So you want to take notes on that. We're old school, so you might say write it down, whatever. Put it in your notes, whatever it is. Get the voice recorder on your phone. Just make a note of some of the things that are your takeaways each day. If you wait more than a day, then by the end of the next day, you've already forgotten what happened the first day. So,
well, and a good thing for reviewing in the evening is that your plans may change. You might have learned something that day that you did not expect, so you can modify your itinerary for the next day. I mean, a good plan is one that can be modified. I mean, Sully never planned on landing that jet in the middle of a river after a bird strike. I don't think that's one of the things they probably talked about, but that's one of the things you should always do is be ready for that evening review to prep for, I didn't know this was going to happen, and now we're going to do it, much like the FAA does now for, hey, this is Sully's deal. We're teaching you what happens if you got to land in a river. So it's one of those deals. Now, the best part is you do this conference, you have a great time, you bring home lots of tchotchke, you bring home stuff for you bring home stuff for your school, you bring home ideas, you're refreshed, you're ready to teach, you're ready to do this whole thing. Well, guess what time it is? It's the post plan for next year. A great time to plan for next year is right after it happens. It's like when you take that summer vacation to the beach house, or you go to the lake, or you go camping for that one thing you do every year with your family. And at the end of it is the best time to go. And it always happens. You say, we need to remember next year to bring blah, blah, blah. We should have brought 2 watermelons and extra forks and blah, blah, blah. The best time to do that is right then. So you have this opportunity in your post plan for your conference is to go ahead and say, I didn't accomplish this based on my plan, my itinerary, what happened, and I didn't find this. So next year, or it didn't fit the bill. That's the other part. I thought it was going to work, but it didn't fit the bill. Sorry, Microsoft. And but that's post planning is a really big deal.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you're going to take, hopefully you take all of these, each of these, however they apply to you, just some food for thought, these 5 different things to consider when you are looking at heading out to a conference the next time that's on your agenda.
Hey, welcome back to the EduTech Guys, and it's that time again. You know what time it is? It's
the EduTech Tip of the Week.
Thank you, David. That was beautiful. Don't forget to tip your waitress. David will be here for the next 4 minutes of this podcast. So listen, the EduTech tip of the week this week comes from our good friend at Class Tech Tips, Monica Burns.
Yes.
Yeah, it's 7 Google Calendar tips for teachers. And I'll tell you what, we'll just go right down these bad boys. You know, one of the cool things about it is, and this might sound, some of you might go, well, those aren't just super tips, but I promise you, for some of you, it is. You can access your calendar in Gmail. So now most of us know that kind of stuff, but a lot of people don't realize that and how the two are integrated so easily to bounce back and forth between the two inside Google. Also, how you can quickly create a new event. A new event. I hope if I could read. That's one of the problems. They've actually changed some stuff even since this post came out. They changed some things last night that it even looks more different than it did. The AI is now kind of looking at your other calendar and the time of day, and it comes up with suggestions so that you can quickly create an event, put a title in, pick a time, and it looks at the rest of your stuff and goes, well, you know, normally your events are hour long, and instead of making them 30 minutes, it'll make them an hour and stuff like that. So you can bop those bad boys out. This is a really cool one right here, is called Type the Time. I think that one's a really neat one, where you can open your calendar and click on the day you want the event to take place, then type in 2 p.m. meeting with, let's say, Monica, and the Google Calendar will automatically set the event at the correct time. That's really cool. That's just
amazing.
Like a no-brainer.
It really is amazing, the stuff that Google has been able to do with all of their applications, but in this particular case with Calendar, to make it so much easier to use in plain language.
You have to wonder at Skynet, I mean Google, what they're thinking there as they're building this AI, you know, to prepare for world dominance. I mean, helping us get through our days.
Yes, exactly.
You will comply. So the cool part is, just like with everything with Google, you can search your calendar.
And it's so funny to me how many people don't realize, don't make that connection. You know, you've got the search bar in every application that is available inside Google Apps, not to mention, you know, just the regular search bar, but inside the Google Apps themselves, you can search for the stuff you're looking for, whether it's in Calendar and you're looking for a particular event or on a particular day, or whether it's in your email and you're trying to find an email that, you know it was about the staff meeting, but you can't remember anything else. You can just search for the terms you're looking for inside the apps.
Yeah, that's a really cool one. And it's Google search.
Right, exactly.
It's our bread and butter. Hey, really cool one. It's been around for a while. I mean, it's always been there, but most people don't use it. And a good tip that Monica points out is color codes. You know, if you'll make the family blue, or, make work red, or, green for vacation time, color codes really help out when you're looking at your calendar just to see if you have free time, like to see what's bouncing out there. So color coding is a really great one. Another one is the using shortcuts, keyboard shortcuts, and we'll share out this link. But there's a cool list of shortcuts that come straight from the Google Help Center. So you just tap the numbers 2 and 3 on your keyboard, and you can switch between months and things like that. So they've got some really cool keystrokes that'll work there to kind of bounce you around the calendar app, which is really awesome. And finally, the one that's kind of always been there, but it's one that most people don't realize, is the ability to stretch and drag. So you can not only drag the time longer or shorter in the day for one of your appointments that have been created, but you can stretch it across multiple days. If, say, that PD workshop needs to go for 3 days, you can now make it on Monday, stretch it across and drag it down, and it's now every day from 3 o'clock until 2 in the morning.
Which is, that is so much handier than, before, when you'd put it in and you'd say, this repeats every day from 8 to 4, blah, blah. Man, just put it in once, drag it across, and Google does the rest.
Hey, listen, you can find all this and more at Monica Burns' website, classtechtips.com. It's classtechtips.com. And thank you, Monica Burns, for those tips.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, listen, we hope you stay in touch with us. Visit us on the web. Just put @EduTechGuys. We're on all the social media, doing all the social media things, from the click-clacking to the toot-talking and the mic-macking. So we're out there doing our thing, and we can't wait to talk to you and find out more about who you are. So write us, send us a video, tag us. Tag, you're it.
Tag.
Boom. Listen, it's been another show.
It has been another show.
#another show.
There you go.
Hey, listen, I'm Jeff Matlock.
Doesn't get much stranger than Stranger Things
It
on the
doesn't.
EduTech Guys. I'm David Henderson.
I'm number 11. We'll see you next time.
You're listening to the EduTech Guys. EduTechGuys.com.